Okay, here we are on the apron. It is dark o'clock in the morning here at Nice Airport. Nothing is stirring. I think we're literally one of the first flights out of here today.
Yeah, I think we can see a lot of aircraft around, but no one's moving.
Yeah, there's a KLM over there. There's an Embraer behind us, and his logo light's on. So that's
he could be moving. He's alive, isn't he? Yeah.
Does that suggest that the crew are on board and things are going to start happening?
It could be, or it could be someone cleaning it, but it's probably the crew.
Right. Okay. Yeah. So out in Nice, early morning. I guess it's all going to be. We can see there's some Air France. There's a Swiss Air over there. These are all going to be like overnight aircraft, like first flight of the day out of here back to, say, Geneva, Zurich, Paris, KLM, going back to Amsterdam, that kind of thing.
Yeah, exactly. They've all been night stopping, and they've kind of done some probably 3 sector day before, and they night stop here for the night and then head back in the morning.
Okay, all right. So we're going to try and get out before them. We are the first flight out of here this morning. Apparently, the other first flight of the day is a Lufthansa.
Oh, okay.
Which I think is heading to Munich, but I don't quote me on that. So we're going to try and beat Lufthansa out of here. It's a little race between Eurojet, Eurojet to Geneva and Lufthansa to Munich at 6 o'clock in the morning out of Nice. Right, here we are. This is our steed, Chelsea or Chesley, rather. I didn't really know him as Sully. Have you seen the movie?
I've seen the movie. It's a good movie, but you know, I hope I never have to do it.
Yeah, and it's a strange. All the Eurojet fleet are named after famous aviators. So we had Andrei Turcat, the Concorde test pilot. It's a strange. I mean, he is a very famous aviator,
he is,
and a real hero. But it's a weird thing to name a plane.
Yeah, it's like naming it after disaster. Isn't
yeah,
it? It kind of feels a little bit inappropriate.
Well,
but,
maybe.
But then again, he did a good job.
He did a great job.
He's a good job, and he's a good pilot.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
All right, so here we are. Airbus A320. This is a Spanish registered one. If you have a look at the serial number at the back, it's Echo Charlie Bus. Now, obviously, Eurojet, we have bases all over Europe. Is it kind of common in a big fleet like Eurojets with aircraft all over Europe that you get aircraft from different, because you would think, well, this should be based in Barcelona or Palma, but it's here in Nice? What's the story there?
Yeah, there's loads of them all around the network. You know, you have multiple bases, multiple different registrations. They're going to be probably in the same place for 3 or 4 days and then move on somewhere else. So you'll never really tend to find the same aircraft in the same week. You know, they go everywhere.
All right, so this one, this is a Spanish registered one. It is going to briefly visit Spain, and then it's going to come back here to France, and then in the next few days it could end up in Berlin.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's how it works. Right, okay. Well, we don't have any steps, so I think the first thing we need to do is go off and get some steps so we can actually get on this thing. We've got a safety pilot with us today. Let's just mention him real quick before we go and get going. What's the story with a safety pilot? How does this work when we're training?
So normally for the first 12 sectors that we do our line flying, we have a safety pilot on the jump seat. Now, the reason for that is it's just to reduce your workload, so they can do things that you would normally do, but you can then focus on the primary stuff of flying and setting up the aircraft and all this sort of important stuff that we're going to be looking at today.
Okay, all right. So he's going to do the walk around and all that, and we can concentrate on just programming, because we have a lot. I mean, we've arrived at the aircraft a little bit early, but we've only got about 30 minutes to get everyone on board and get everything done.
Yeah.
It's not long, is it?
No, it's not long at all. You know, you really are sort of under time pressure quite a bit, and you've really got to get going. So when you have someone else helping you out, it means you can spend more of that precious time doing the stuff that you want to try and learn.
Okay, so here we are then on the flight deck. It's very, very dark, so I guess this is the point we get a torch out. Do you actually have an official airline torch from Eurojet, or do we use your phone, or what do you do?
Well, normally you have your own sort of personal torch that you're given, and normally it's your phone. That's normally the way.
Okay,
but
right.
on the aircraft, there are actually 2 emergency torches, which should only be used in case of an emergency, but they often get misused.
Okay, yeah. So we're going to start flashing a torch. Right. There is this little preliminary kind of setup. We looked at it in Menorca, but now we just want to rattle through it because we want to get it done, right?
Yeah, that's right. We're getting more into the sort of flow of things on the line. We're trying to get... We told you about it. Let's move on and sort of put it into practice.
Okay, so let's do it.
Right, so first of all, we're going to start with the engine masters, and we're going to check that they're both...
off.
Exactly. And then we're going to look at the engine mode selector.
Which is in normal.
That's correct. Then we're going to move and have a look at the weather radar.
That is off.
That's correct, and that's what we're looking for. We're just seeing everything's turned off. And then we're going to move across to the landing gear.
Okay, so we want to look for the handle, and we can see in the dark that it's down.
Exactly. And then we're going to move across and up to the wiper selectors.
Okay, so this we looked at before. We don't want to scratch the windscreen. So the left is off and the right is off.
That's right. So we're going to look at the batteries then. We're going to move up to them.
Okay, now we talked about the required voltage. 25.5, I believe.
That's correct, and it's probably been sitting here for more than 6 hours, so it is a cold aircraft, but we have above that voltage.
Yeah, okay. So let's start battery number 1, and let's start battery number 2.
So after that's started, we can go straight for the external power if it's available, which I can see it is.
Okay. So what did he say about hitting the buttons? A
long slow poke.
Long slow poke.
Long slow poke.
There
we go.
Right, yeah, okay. So if it doesn't go on the first grab, long slow poke.
It's designed like that so that you can't just sort of click it on and off. You know,
Yeah.
so if you accidentally click it, it's not going to just trigger off. So.
Okay. Can I just throw some lights on real quick?
Yeah,
we
go
do
for it
anything
now.
else?
It's a good point to do that.
Let me just do that. Now, I remember you saying that the dome light, it kind of is a bit bright for this time of the morning,
It's a
isn't
bit
it?
like, whoa,
Okay.
you know.
So probably dim is good enough.
Dim's
for
a good
now.
one, yeah.
Right,
Yeah.
okay. So I'm just going to move back into the pilot seat. Where do we go next?
So what we're waiting for now is we're actually waiting for a little triple click, and it can take a little bit because the screens are going to turn themselves on.
Okay.
Because we're going to test the APU fire
Right.
test.
Okay.
But we can't do that until we've got this little triple click.
Gotcha. Okay. All right. So let's see what's going on up here.
It should be done, and it's probably about another 20 seconds from now. And this is a good time when you're waiting for this. If you've got any charts, maps, things like that, then you can sort of get them ready, you know, sort of things like that.
Yeah.
There we go.
Okay. There we go. So there's a triple click.
Yeah.
And now we're good to go.
Yeah, we're
Right.
good to go now. So the next thing we're going to do is the APU fire test.
Okay. So let's go up there. We're going to hold the button down.
That's the one.
We're going to look down, and we've got master one, APU fire, and it was interesting how the sound didn't come on for a few seconds because it was still
doing its thing in the background. Yeah.
That's right, yeah. And there's nothing else to see apart from that.
That's it, yeah.
So that's it. So we let that go, and the APU fire test is done.
So next thing we've got is cockpit lights, but we've already done that, so that's all set up and it's good.
Yeah. Okay.
Then we're going to go for the ECAM recall push button. Now, one of the important things to note from this is you must hold the button for more than 3 seconds.
Okay, so 1, 2, 3.
And all we can see is it has a nav TCAS fault,
Yeah.
which is normal.
Okay.
That's expected. When you don't have the IRSs aligned, you'll have that fault.
So can I clear this now?
Yeah, you can clear that,
get
and
rid of
it will go into the status page and all this sort of stuff.
Okay,
But
so all this stuff that's not working is because we don't have it aligned.
exactly, yeah.
Gotcha. Okay. All right. So I clear that, and then that's done.
Perfect. So next we're going to move on to the ECAM oxygen. So basically we go on the ECAM control panel that we were talking about yesterday,
Okay.
and we click on the engine page.
Okay. All right. There's the engine page.
That's the one. So the only thing you're really looking for here is the oil quantity, and the captain's going to make a note of this in his tech log about how much oil there is and if there's enough for the flight.
Okay. So airlines, I guess, they all have their own quantities and everything else, but
Yeah.
for Eurojet, we're happy with this.
Yeah, so we're happy with this because it burns quite a lot actually, and it's weird if you can see the indications in quarts,
Yeah.
which is for our American viewers will make sense. But
Yeah.
for me, I was like,
it's an unusual one for Europeans. Yeah.
Yeah, it's funny because I think it's probably because of the fact that the engine originated from a General Electric engine.
Okay.
So it's
Which is
kind
American
of, which
one.
is American, so that's where it comes from. So
Okay.
we've got 17.5 quarts in both engines, which is more than enough because the minimum is 10.5,
Okay.
and it burns half a quarts, so 0.5 per hour.
Okay. So we've got plenty enough
Plenty of fuel.
to oil.
So that's all done, and so then we move on to the hydraulic ECAM page.
Okay.
So ECP.
Which is that one.
So just looking if everything's okay there. That's it. There's nothing really else to look at. It's just a general little overview. And then we move on to the pressure page.
Okay. Which is that one.
That's the one. And what we're looking for there is we're just seeing that the landing elevation selector at the top there is in auto.
Which it is. So
Which
that's
it
the
is.
selector over the top.
So
We don't want that in manual.
yeah, and this is when it's one of the first checks, because remember we were saying rumours, facts. That's a fact that it's in auto.
Yeah.
That's a rumour. So when we come to the overhead to look at it, we're like, oh yeah, it does match. So
Okay.
we've seen it already.
All right. Good.
And that's everything we're looking for there. So we can remove that page.
Okay. Great.
And then we move straight on to the flaps,
Yeah. Okay. So the flaps.
and we just check that they're up.
Yeah. Which
And
they are.
What I tend to do is when they're up at 0, we've already had a look, but we have a look up at the display to
Yeah.
see if that does match, because they are at 0. They're definitely at 0. So
Yeah.
that's a good one.
Okay. Good. No
so
problem.
that's after that. We then look at the speed brake lever,
Okay.
and we just check that it's retracted and disarmed, which it is.
Okay. Which it is.
Yeah.
Great.
Then we
Okay.
have a look at the parking brake.
All right. And that is set.
That's it, and we see that it's on. And then we have a look at the accumulator pressure.
Okay. So we talked about this. So we can see that that is good, and the brakes are holding, and everything is
Yeah,
good.
and even if it's not, they're going to open that cargo door and it will replenish it, and that's all good.
So while we're on this, let me just throw some more floodlights
Yeah,
on.
go for it so we can see some
And
more
then
stuff.
We can see what we're doing. Yeah. Okay. Good.
So then we're going to look at the emergency equipment, which realistically for us in the sim, we don't have to look at it because it's physically always there, so it's not going to go away. And the rain repellent is, unfortunately, it's just a little texture, so it's nothing
So
we can.
we
have a
can't
look
see
at.
if it's empty
So
or
we
not.
can't see if it's empty or not. And the circuit breaker panel, they don't pop out, but you can have a look at them and look down them. So there's not too much to see there. And the aircraft pins, cowling fans, all that sort of stuff, that they're not modelled. So it's sort of, they've got their own little storage cubby holes. You have a look if they're there, because if they're not there, they might be in the gear.
Yeah, yeah,
So
of course, yeah.
be aware. But for us, we're going to assume that they're there,
Okay.
and that's the end of it. That's
And that's the end of it. So that's the end of that checklist. All right, good stuff. So let's move on. Now, of course, there's a load of stuff to do on our overhead.
And this is where we're going next. Yeah.
And that's what I'm going to try and remember. So rain repellent, we don't need to worry about any of this. We need to turn the crew supply on.
That's right.
Because we want that on and we've got to test it. Ground control, they want to hear me bitching about my ex-wife. GPWS, we can leave all
One
of
more
that.
thing from there. We just got to press the CVR test.
That's
it.
yeah, of course, yeah. So press that and we get the little sound and there it is.
That's the one.
All right. EVAC, we're going to leave that on captain.
That's it.
And then back down to the bottom.
All the way up to the IRSs that we got there. That's the one.
Yeah, okay, right. So IR1, IR2, IR3, and we said we're not going to wait for the light.
That's it. Yeah, we can move on now down to the bottom, which is where you went before, which is correct.
Got you. Okay, the lights, auto.
Yep.
And then the rest of them we can leave off, apart from the nav and logo. And Andre's outside doing the walk around.
He's now going like, cheers, mate.
So we've put it onto 2, which
Yeah,
is
exactly.
the Eurojet SOP. All right. And then along the other side, seatbelt signs can stay off for now because we need some fuel, and maybe we need some fuel, other bits and bobs.
Yeah, we can leave it.
The no smoking is in auto.
That's correct.
And the emergency lights we put to arm.
That's the one.
Yeah, okay. And then moving up, everything else can stay as it is. They can stay where they are. External power's on, which is what we want. We're going to turn the number 1 and 2 fuel tanks on. Leave the centers off.
That's it.
Could we do the fire test while we're up
now
here?
we do just the engine fire test because we've already done the one for the APU.
Oh, okay. So I'm going to hold it down. I'm going to look down. So we've got master 1, engine 1 fire, and then just hidden behind the speed brake lever is fire. Okay.
Yep, that's it.
And then we'll do number 2. So hold it down. Down we go. Master 1, engine 2 fire, and fire. And let go.
That's it.
All right. And then is it back down to the bottom?
Back down to the bottom, yeah.
Okay, so the wipers off. That can all stay. That can all stay. And this is on A-cars, but we know this aircraft is not fitted
it's
with
not
A-cars.
equipped with it, yeah.
So we can flick that across. And now we're going to see VHF3 voice. So
Which makes sense.
That's
yeah.
just telling us there's no A-cars on this aircraft.
Yeah, what it just tells us is because normally VHF3 is used for the A-cars, it's warning you that a voice frequency, so something we can talk on, is tuned, which is what we expect.
Yeah, okay,
So
yeah,
that's
that,
fine.
that does make sense, yeah. Okay, so that's like the upstairs setup done, if
One
you like.
tiny more thing.
Oh,
it's all the way
I've
upstairs
missed
in the
something.
attic.
Oh, of course. We were going to look overhead. I'm guessing we're checking for
That's
circuit
it.
breakers.
That's it. We're just looking for the maintenance panel.
And
There's
the
no
maintenance
white
panel
lights on.
over our head. We need to check for white
That's
lights.
it. And that's everything. You looked at everything now.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
My God, there's so much to
I know,
remember.
there's a lot. Yeah.
Right, okay. So that's good. Right, what's next? Do we need an oxygen test?
Not quite yet. So we come back down and we do the U-bend, as we call it.
Yep.
So we start off with the standby, and then we just look at it, see if it's okay, no damage to it. Have a look at the instrument below, no damage, everything's set.
Yeah.
Come back across to the clock, and we have a look that the clock's set, seems to be working fine, no issues there. And then we can start below the MCDU on the left side.
Okay, all right. So let's do that. So let's turn the PA on. I'm just going to turn it down real low because I guess you don't want that too loud.
No, yeah.
And then we're listening to VHF1, which is kind of fine. Radios we're going to tune in a bit. Done the lights. The weather radar we can.
We just leave it as it is.
Leave that.
Yeah.
Speed brakes retracted. Cockpit doors in norm. This
Exactly.
springs back, right?
Yeah,
So it won't be an unlock.
No, it won't be unlocked. No.
All right. And then rudder trim. We're going to reset that later.
Yeah. So from the bottom of there, from the cockpit door, we go all the way to the top of the next panel.
Right.
So we go below the lower ECAM.
Right. Okay.
That's
so up
it.
there, and then the switching panels.
That's the one.
Normal, 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 normal. They're fine. We set the ECAM brightnesses. We know the thrust levers are idle, which is kind of where we set them earlier on.
Yep.
Masters off. Normal. Rudder trim. Just mention that again. Parking brake on. Do we check this thing?
All we do is see that it's in the stowed position,
So
which it is.
It shouldn't be up. It needs
It
to
shouldn't be
down.
up. It needs to be down. That's it.
Okay.
And then to the top of the next
to
panel.
the top again.
Yeah, so we can leave
Right.
that alone for now.
Yeah.
Work our way down.
Okay, and then the radio's over on your side.
Yeah.
I'm just going to select the cabin crew onto yours and then just turn it right down. And then floodlight, guess we don't need. Aids and all that, we don't want.
No.
Obviously, 2,000 in here.
That's right. That's exactly
And then leave
correct.
this. Now, I seem to remember from you were saying that what we want is it on whoever's flying side, which is me.
That's correct.
Altitude reporting goes on.
That's correct.
Standby. We'll leave it in all in case we forget to
Yep.
change it. And standby.
That's right.
And that's
Well
it.
done. That's good.
I'm
That
good.
was good. That was really good.
I'm
Well
good.
done.
I'm
Yeah,
good with
yeah,
the
yeah.
I'm good with the transponder.
Here we go.
I'm good with the transponder.
So we've done that now. So now we move on, and I always think of it like you come to the bottom of that panel,
Yeah.
and you go back to the top. So we start with the MCDU. So
Yeah.
that's what we're moving on to. now.
Okay, so let's turn both of these on.
Yeah.
So I'm going to turn my side on. I'm going to turn your side on as well. There you go. Right, okay. So let me move forward. And FM.
That's
GC.
correct.
Cool. All right. And that says GPS primary lost. This is because it hasn't
Yeah, it hasn't.
hasn't initialized yet.
Exactly, yeah. So it's just warning us that it's not got GPS primary, which makes sense at this point because it's
Okay.
still got 2 minutes less to the align. So
Okay. So
Yeah.
then it will hook onto the GPS satellites.
yeah,
And it will do all its self-tests, and then it will change to what? GPS primary.
it should be GPS primary then. We should see that. Yeah.
And we'll do some.
So we can clear that now,
Checks.
and it will clear it off the. It will clear it when we get GPS primary later off the navigation display.
Okay, cool. All right. So what do we want to do now? Start throwing in the route, or are there any more checks that we've got to do?
So for the wrist, there's a specific way we're going to put it in the MCDU. We're going to spend a little bit of time talking about this today, and it's one of the first introductions to it. So it's called diffs rip.
Okay.
Okay, now I know it sounds weird. Sounds like
Diffs-
some sort of weird word.
Diffs rip. All right.
Diffs rip. Right.
Okay.
And it's the way that we do it is we start on this page. So data, aircraft status, which is what we're on, and we want to see that we've got the correct aircraft, which hilariously has gone wrong once. They
Yeah.
apparently put an A319 MCDU in a 320.
Well, yeah.
So
it
there
has
you go.
happened.
It has happened. So
Yeah,
then we check that it's
absolutely.
right, check that it's the right engine, and check the navigation data is in days, which it is. And
Okay.
we're all good. So
All
that's all we're looking for that page.
Yeah,
So that's
okay.
the D of disrip. Done. Crossed off.
Okay.
The I, we go to init alpha.
Okay. So let's go to init.
Init ref.
Okay.
It's like an Airbus.
Init.
Init alpha.
Init
There you go.
alpha. Okay. So this is the init page, and
Yeah.
this is where we start throwing some stuff in from the flight plan.
That's right, yeah.
Now there are a variety of ways to do this, and if you've got A cars, you can drag stuff in; it'll populate it itself. But we're going to do it for this first flight. We're going to do this old school way,
Yeah.
and we're going to populate it all ourselves.
All ourselves from the flight plan so that
Okay.
we make sure that we get the right stuff.
Right. Okay. So let's do that then. So, I believe you said the city pair, top right.
That's correct. It is called the city pair, well remembered.
Right. LFMN. That's Nice, and we're going to Geneva.
Oh, nearly. Ooh.
LSGG.
That's right. Yeah, correct.
All right. Cool. There we are. Now, it's like, oh, I've got a route for
Ooh,
you.
a route, yeah.
But do we
today?
want do we want this one?
No, we can just go to return on the bottom left because we're
Okay.
going to do it ourselves.
So if we insert that, it will give us the wrong route.
Yeah, it could
Potentially.
do. Exactly. This is why sometimes it's good to do it yourself or know which routes are in there because you might have done this flight before.
Yeah.
And it gives you the wrong route. So
Okay. So
yeah.
there's an Airbus got you.
There's another one.
All right. Okay. Right. So our flight number is
Echo Juliet Echo
Yep.
044 uniform.
okay. And our cost index today.
We've got a cost index of 21.
Okay. And our flight level.
I believe it's 240.
Okay.
And we'll put the cruise temperature in there now.
It just a real quick explanation of what's going on. It
Yeah.
gives you minus 33. Is that what it thinks, or is this just like a kind of generic one that's built into it?
It's basically what a generic number is. So it's saying at flight level 240 we should be at this temperature. So it's not actually what today's temperature is going to be, especially considering it's quite a hot day today. You know?
Yeah, it's a hot day, so
Yeah.
we wouldn't expect it to be minus 33.
No, we're not up there. You know, that would be the most average day, you know, with the ISA figures, as
Yeah.
we were talking about earlier.
Okay, all right. So we had a look. We're on the flight plan, and what do we got?
So we've got a temperature of -8.
Okay.
So
How do we put this in?
So we just do a /,
Yeah.
and then we do minus,
Yeah.
and then 8.
Okay, like that. Okay.
See, and then if you notice, it goes from small to big. because
Okay.
it's like edited data.
So,
it's like
so
big.
the small is like its number, and the big is our number.
Yeah, it's like I thought this, and then you make it big, and it goes. Oh, sorry about that.
Okay,
It goes-
that makes
It
sense.
goes big, yeah. So
Okay.
the only thing that we've got left to do off here is to put the alternate in.
So that is going to be Zurich. That is LSZH,
Correct.
and that goes in there.
Correct.
All right, cool. So we've done the D,
So D.
and,
I.
we've done the I,
So then
and
is
the
flight plan.
is flight plan. Okay,
So it's a sandwich. This is the way to remember
a
it.
sandwich.
It's sandwich. It's an Airbus sandwich. Okay.
Okay,
Think of it like
that
that.
sounds nice. I
Yeah.
imagine it would have a lot of garlic in it.
Yeah, a lot of garlic.
And a lot of cheese.
Maybe it's a baguette actually.
Yeah.
But
Well, it's kind of French and German and a bit of
Yeah.
Spanish. I think it would be
yeah,
quite nice.
Yeah, it would be nice. I think it would be good.
Yeah.
So we start with the departure,
Okay.
and we will do that now. So that's correct. So you click on it, departure, and we're going to go off 04 right,
Yeah.
and it's going to be the Irma 6 Alpha departure.
Irma 6 Alpha.
There we go, and
Irma.
we just insert that.
Yeah.
And then we do the arrival before we do the route.
Ah, okay. Right.
Yeah, that's where it's a sandwich. You do
So
the two
you-
pieces of bread first,
and then you
and
join
then you
them
fill
up.
the middle in.
Got you. Okay. Right. What we expecting?
So we're expecting ILS 04,
yeah.
and we are expecting the. I think it's just one more page down.
So we insert that.
There we insert that. So now what we've got the departure, we've got the arrival, but we don't know how to get in between the two.
Right. So we've got the end of the departure, which is Omar,
Yep.
and the beginning of the arrival, which is Kines, and that's it.
Yeah, so what we do now is we can, on the left-hand side, we can click on Irma,
Okay.
and then we go Airways, and we can say we're going to go via the Uniform November 853. And this is all off our flight plan. This is where we're getting this information from.
Okay.
And then we're going to go to Kines.
All right. Kines.
That's it.
Got you.
And then we click Insert.
All right.
So now what we've ended up with is you can see we have a discontinuity. So this is a good time to talk about this.
And we have Kines in twice.
Yeah. It's because the start of the arrivals from Kines, and we've said to go via that airway to Kines.
So
it's
it,
going.
it thinks we want to go there twice.
Yeah. So it's like it's a bit weird, but it's told us that it doesn't understand. So there's a discontinuity. Now, if I'm right in saying with a Boeing aircraft, you deselected the sort of constraint.
Yeah. That's right.
Yeah. But with an Airbus, it's different. So we click the clear button
Yeah.
on the bottom right of the MCDU.
Okay.
So now it's going to clear what we click, and we clear the discontinuity.
Okay.
That's it.
Ah, and it's got rid of the other Kines.
Yeah. So now what we end up with is in yellow. So whenever it's in yellow, it's a temporary flight plan.
Okay.
Now a temporary flight plan means this is for you to review, and it's actually yellow on the navigation display. So we can even scroll through it and see what it's going to do, and if we're happy with it, which we are because we know what it's going to do, we can click insert.
Okay. All right. So let's do that then.
Which is insert is the equivalent of a Boeing execute.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
They
Yeah.
just have different names for it for some reason.
Sure. Okay. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. No, that makes a lot of sense. All right. So, so we've put the departure in, put the arrival in, and the middle of the sandwich,
Yeah.
as you say, and it's now all joined up. Now, quick question for you.
Yeah. Yeah.
If we have a look on, let me just move the viewpoint down a little bit so we can see it clearer. You see that we've got a load of straight lines here on the navigation display. I would expect those to be curved. Why is it drawing straight lines?
Now it's drawing straight lines at the moment because it doesn't know anything about itself. So it doesn't know the weight and the zero fuel weight and how much fuel it has and all this sort of stuff. So it can't calculate those curves because they're
Yeah.
based on our weight, how fast we're going to be going.
Okay.
So you'll see them later on become curves.
So
but at
when,
the
we,
moment,
when we
straight.
put all those in, expect those straight lines to go curved.
Yeah, we'll try and remember to see it. I don't know if
Yeah,
we will, but
okay,
we should
well,
see it.
yeah, we'll
later
give it a
on,
go.
we'll see it as a curve.
We'll give it a go.
Yeah.
All right. Okay. So we've done the D, we've done the I, and
F.
are you happy we've completed the
We've
F?
completed the F, so now we can move on to diffs. So then it's the secondary flight plan.
Okay.
Now, for the secondary flight plan, there's quite a lot to do here, but today we're going to copy the active and we're going to just keep it like that.
Okay.
Because what that means is we have a copy of the active flight plan, and what's often put in here are when you have an engine failure, you can build a procedure in there, and lots of companies have sort of them built in there. But obviously, for all of us in the sim,
we don't have those.
that. So,
Yeah.
so you'd have to build it yourself, and it's maybe something later on that we might be able to touch on, but ultimately, you kind of know when you're going to have an engine failure. in
Of
the sim.
course.
So,
yeah. Absolutely.
so
yeah.
yeah, so this is something that normally the best procedure on the ground is to just copy the active.
All right. So that's what we've done. We've thrown that in, and that's in there.
Yeah,
And that's it. We can leave that.
that's it. So d if s, r, so r is the next one. Radnav.
Radnav. All
Yeah.
right. There we go.
So now we're on the Radnav page, and you can see it's a bit different from a lot of other aircraft, isn't it?
Yeah. So
Yeah.
it's tuned I guess, the most appropriate VOR for the departure or the nearest one? Does
Yeah.
it select it on a bunch of criteria?
It has a load of criteria that it sees as the most important, and it normally does a good job, but for whatever reason, if you want to have something else to view, or you think, no, I don't want to view that, you can tell it to do that. So we know on our departure today, we can actually see that on the navigation display. We're going to fly over November Charlie.
Okay.
It's a little waypoint, but it's also a navigation aid that we can view. So in the ADF1, we
Okay.
can type N and C.
Okay, NC, not Nancy.
Not Nancy.
If you're a big Frasier fan, you'll get the gag there about Nancy. But NC, the nearest one, is 5 miles away.
Makes sense.
So that's obviously the one that we want. And there you go. Interestingly, it's also tuned the ILS for Nice.
Now, it will do that. The reason it does that is it knows if you have a sort of a serious failure and you want to come back, then it's going to go, well, I'm going to pre-tune it for you anyway.
Okay.
So it does what it thinks is most appropriate. And that's what later on we'll show with the secondary flight plan. You can actually have the return ILS set up in there.
Okay.
So if you have a problem, you can come back. It's already done, and it knows what it's going to do.
Brilliant. Okay, cool. So we've done the D, the I, the F, the diffs. We've done the secondary flight plan, the R, and
it's I again.
I.
Yeah.
Which is
So back to the init.
init.
And then it's init Bravo.
Okay, so Bravo, we use the little arrow key
Exactly.
to send us to the right-hand side.
Yeah. And you can always see that. And see in the top right-hand corner, we have that arrow.
Mm-hmm.
So it shows you can go left and right.
Yeah.
So that means we have a different page.
Yeah.
So that's why we know there's like a Bravo or a whatever of the pages.
Okay, so we've got some things that we can fill and some stuff that the aircraft can fill. So which one of these do we do first?
So what I do is I normally start with the top right-hand corner because it's sort of the most important one. Now, the zero fuel weight and zero fuel weight CFG is pretty important to get. Now, what we can do is you can take it from your flight plan and sort of use the expected figures that you're going to get, and depends how you're calculating the performance. But generally, it's a really good idea to use the inbuilt function. You know, where you click it, it gives you what you've got, and if you've got the payload set up, it's going to give you the correct zero fuel weight and zero fuel weight CFG.
Okay, so so in the real aeroplane, you have to enter this from your paperwork.
Exactly.
In the sim, we can cheat as long as you've loaded the payload correctly.
Yeah.
Then we should click that, and this should give us the zero fuel weight. So 62.3 / 33.7. Now, just before we go any further, the zero fuel weight, just for the avoidance of doubt, that is the weight of the aeroplane with everything on it except the fuel.
Exactly. It's what it is. It's the weight. So this is why we know that weight plus our fuel is going to be our takeoff weight.
Okay.
That's how it works. And what's nice is when you type that in, I think you're right in saying that it's good to populate it from it, but we can check it across the across paperwork.
Yeah.
So if we see that it's massively different, you go, hang on.
Okay.
It's not what
so
we wanted.
if we go back to our flight plan,
Yeah.
we can see the zero fuel weight plan is 62,232. We've rounded it up because that's what we do. Make it easier. And 62.3, and the aircraft's calculated in this case. The zero fuel weight CFG. We did touch on it briefly, didn't we, in Menorca about this? You know, think of the airplane on a seesaw.
Yeah, exactly.
How forward or back it is, and that's it comes up with a number depending on how the aircraft's loaded, and that's the number.
And that's right. And you can see that they both match in terms of the zero fuel weight. So that's great.
Okay. All right. Now, block fuel is next.
So we can just put in what we were expecting. If you've not already refueled, you can put what you're going to expect to get. We've already got our fuel, so we can just put...
So at the moment they fueled the aeroplane before we got it, which is quite nice. Is that an airline thing? Sometimes they will fuel the aeroplane to what you want to save you some time before you go?
Yeah, it really depends on the airline. A lot of them you can, in the crew room, you can give them a phone call, they'll fuel it up, they'll come out with a truck, or some of them will refuel it based on the flight plan fuel. It's very airline dependent.
Yeah, okay. I guess in a big aeroplane, like a 777 or A380 going a long way, it takes a hell of a long time.
It's going to take a long time,
so they would need to do it in advance.
Yeah, absolutely.
Got you. Okay, right. But anyway, to move things on, 5640, what do we enter this as?
5.6. Now, we were saying we do a lot of rounding. Now, normally it's quite logical to think about if you round the fuel up, that's kind of a bad way of doing it. Yeah. Because you kind of pretending you got more.
Fuel, you want to round down.
Yeah, because it's the most conservative way to do it.
Okay.
So like weight, you want to round up. Fuel, you want to round down.
Okay.
That's a general rule
of thumb. So you always go on the side of caution.
Yeah.
So fuel down, weight up.
Yeah, because what we've already told the aircraft is we're a bit heavier than we are, and we have a little bit less fuel.
Yeah.
So in reality, we have a little bit more. So it's
so
good.
we're in a better position than the aircraft thinks
exactly,
we're in.
Yeah,
Got you. Okay, right. Let's have a look at these numbers on the left-hand side. It's come up with a bunch of numbers. And what's the difference between the blue and the green?
Blue is stuff that we can enter. or edit, and green is stuff that the aircraft has generated, so we cannot edit it. If you
Okay.
try and edit it, it will just go, no,
Okay.
not allowed, won't work.
All right. So the taxi time is in blue.
Yep.
And if we have a look at our flight plan, it says 200 kilos for Nice, and 0.2 is 200 kilos.
Exactly.
So
yeah.
that's correct.
That's correct.
We could change it, but
You
we
could.
don't need to.
Generally, it's sort of left alone because it's not a massive value, but you're right. If you've got a long taxi, like Amsterdam, I know sometimes is 300-400 kilos.
Wow.
You can put that in.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So the trip is 1.9. Now, that's not that far off our flight plan trip, but it's not identical, but we can't change it.
No, we can't change it because it's calculated that from what we've told it in the flight plan. And as we can actually see now, if we look at the navigation display,
Yeah.
we've got curvy lines.
Ah, well, I
Yeah.
didn't, you know
Yeah.
what? I missed it.
Yeah, I just
I'm-
noticed it now.
I'm kind of upset that
Yeah.
we didn't look,
I
but
know.
it's there.
Yeah.
All right. Route reserve is 5. Again, that's a little bit different to what we have on the flight plan because we've got 5%. It's 5%, isn't it?
It is
5.0.
5%, yeah.
And it thinks that's 100 kilos. In reality, we've actually got 736.
Yeah, no, the way this works is contingency fuel is what this is called, or route reserve. It has many different names, but contingency fuel is what I'm going to call it from now on. So it does the same thing. It's basically the extra fuel you've got that they've given you in the flight plan that you can use. So
Okay.
if we have a delay here, we can sit on the ground, we can burn that fuel. So why we don't put it in the MCDU is because we might use it.
Yeah,
So we
okay.
can't plan on it.
Yeah.
Because it might be used before we take off.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So we leave that. We don't touch it. We could change that, but we don't.
No, we just leave it alone. Yeah,
Okay. Alternate is Zurich. We already talked about that.
exactly.
It's not quite right. It thinks 1, and in reality, it's like 1.3, 1.4.
Yeah, we'll call it 1.4, and we
Yeah.
can just type that in now.
So
Because
we
again, we're rounding it up
Yeah.
because it's more conservative.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So that's 1.4, and it's now changed the extra time.
Yeah, and that makes sense because we've now told that you're going to have 400 kilos less fuel than you think.
Yeah.
Because you're going to have to use 400 more to get from Geneva to Zurich. So then it goes, oh, okay, and it loses a bit of its extra fuel because we don't have as much to play with.
Okay. And our final reserve time, it thinks 1 and 30 minutes, and our 30 minutes is in reality about 1,200.
Yeah, we could change that, but generally we leave it alone on the line because it's said, I think this is 30 minutes flight time.
Okay.
So the final reserve is 30 minutes of flight time. So if it says it's that, that's fine.
Okay, so these figures don't entirely match the stuff on the flight plan.
No,
but that's not unusual.
No, that's not unusual. It's actually unusual if they do match.
Okay.
Because of there's slight variations, little changes. You know, this is based on computations done externally, and this is what the plane's actually thinking.
Yeah.
So it's not unusual.
Okay, all right. So we've got the takeoff weight on the right-hand side, 67.7. Is it worth having a look at what our takeoff weight might be on the flight plan? So our takeoff weight on the flight plan,
Yeah.
6,620, and
Yeah.
it thinks 6,770.
So
So we're in the right ballpark, right?
yeah, and we're in the right ballpark. So that's a good cross check to do. So you're like, yeah, that makes sense. Because if it says 770 tons, you're like, hang on,
Yeah.
something's gone wrong. What have I done? What have I done?
Yeah,
Something's
yeah,
wrong.
yeah. Okay, got you.
And what's good, the only time you can actually view this is right now. This is an interesting Airbus fact again.
Mhm.
So can you see it says takeoff weight, landing weight.
Yeah.
Now, in the air, it won't show you the landing weight.
Really?
It won't show you the expected landing weight,
Wow.
but it shows it here.
Okay. Now, we did have a quick conversation about this, that the max landing weight, 66 tons,
That's
right?
correct, yeah.
66,000 kilograms.
Yeah.
And we're just sneaking under that.
We are by 200 kilos.
Not a lot.
So if we had a little bit of extra fuel, it's bad.
Yeah.
It'd actually be pretty bad.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
there's no warning of that.
Nope.
We would just land overweight, and then at some point we would get that fateful phone
Yeah,
call.
we'd be like, what have you done?
So we see Eurojet's phone number and go,
Yeah. No,
"Oh."
what have we done?
All right. Okay. So that's fine. The min-des fuel on board, do we need to worry about that figure?
We don't need to worry about that because it's auto-populated itself. Because what it's done is it's taken the fuel. Basically, this is the minimum fuel that we need to arrive at Geneva with.
Okay.
And it's worked that out by taking the alternate fuel
Yeah.
plus the final reserve. So it's got that 2.4.
2.4.
From there.
Okay. And then the trip wind on the bottom right.
Yeah.
We can't download the winds
Mm.
because in an ACARS equipped aircraft we could download that and it would populate it.
Yeah.
But what do we do to give it some wind?
We can put the average wind component in from the flight plan.
Okay.
So I've got that as -5. So if
Okay.
it's -5, it's a headwind of 5. So we can type HD005.
Like that,
Yeah.
and then put it in. And
That's
if it
it.
was a tailwind, just out of interest,
You would type
in
TL.
TL and then the number.
Yeah.
Okay, but I'm not going to do that now. Okay.
And that's We've done the d, if, s, r, I, and then there's perf.
Yeah. And the last thing is the performance.
Yeah, performance, and then the progress page. But performance is the last main thing to do.
Okay. Now, a lot to talk about here. But thankfully, Andre, who's the most efficient safety pilot in the world,
Top bloke.
He's a nice guy.
Yeah.
Can't really understand him, but he's a nice guy. He's gone off and done our takeoff performance, and he just gives us the piece of paper, and we're going to type this in. Now, I know there's a lot to it and cross-checking it and everything in the real world, but I'm mindful of the fact that we've got, like 10 minutes to go before we need to start getting pushed back. We're happy that we've got the performance and it's all correct and everything else, and when we get a chance, we're going to come back and investigate this in a bit more depth.
Absolutely.
Right.
Yeah.
So right now, what do we do? Just plug these in.
You just plug the numbers in, and that's it. V1 is 142.
Yep.
VR 145.
Yep.
And V2 146.
All
and
right.
we've got flaps 1.
Okay.
And we have a flight corrected temperature of 54.
54. Great. Okay, so that's the performance done, and then the last thing was another
Progress. So it's double page, yeah.
Yep.
So when we look here, what we're looking for is the GPS primary. Do you remember we were saying that we're eventually going to get GPS primary? So we've got it now, and we can see that it's there, which is good. And we're also looking for the nav accuracy to be high. We'll come back to that at a later date and explain why, but just look for GPS primary, nav accuracy is high, and what we also want to do is put in where we're going to land back in case of an emergency, which would be here on runway 04 left.
So LFMN.
Yep.
And we take off from 04 right, but they generally land on 04 left because it's a bit shorter.
It's a bit
they
shorter.
Give you the longer runway
yeah,
for takeoff.
that's right. Yeah, yeah.
All right. So we've done the diff, rip, and
Diff's
we're back, and everything is good.
That's it.
Okay,
We're done.
Great. So let's just talk about kind of where we are now. You see it's got a little bit lighter, but there's still not much moving out there.
No.
It's 9 minutes to kind of push back, but the actual takeoff time is not till, didn't we say?
I think it's 20 past.
20 past.
Yeah,
so we've got a little bit.
I think we're all right.
Have we got a bit more time than we thought
Yeah,
we did?
we've got a bit more time and we're all right. We've got a few more things to do.
Should we stick the no smoking, the seatbelt sign on now?
So we can put the seatbelt sign on, and also we can turn the centre tank fuel pumps on.
Yeah.
Because we've finished the refueling.
Okay. What about the APU with about 10 minutes or so to go?
That's a good idea.
Yeah.
Yeah, let's do the APU.
All right. So master switch and start.
That's
and
the one.
We could turn the APU bleed on now, but
It has a bit of a tizzy.
this airplane doesn't like it.
And it's best to just wait as long as possible, because the longer that you leave the APU bleed off, it sort of uses less fuel for the APU.
Yeah, okay.
So.
I got you. All right, no problem. Right, so that's all good. I'm guessing we want to set some... I'm trying to remember back to Menorca what I haven't done. We've got to set some stuff up on the
That's
FCU.
correct.
We haven't done the oxygen test yet.
Yeah.
And
That's
I
about it,
can't
really.
think of anything else.
Yeah. So what we've done is we finished with the MCDU. That
Yep.
was great. We now move across to the oxygen test.
Okay. So it's important you do this, right? If you
It
forget
is,
this,
especially
you're in
the
a lot of
first flight of the day, because any flight you can have an explosive decompression.
trouble. Yeah.
It could be any time, you know.
All right, so we check that one, and in the sim, that's all we can do.
That's
really.
all we can do, yeah.
Got you. Okay.
And now we move back up across the top of the glare shield, which is the sort of big thing in front of us there. And we come across and we can see the pressure. So it's a good point now to set the QNH.
Yeah, okay. So the QNH, we're just going to go and grab the ATIS, and the QNH is 1014.
It's
All
not
right.
too bad, is it?
So yeah, 1014. So we're going to check. So we know that Nice is like sea level because it's on the sea and it's showing 20 feet. So
Makes sense.
is like a common sense check?
Yeah, there's a common sense check. Like I know in Amsterdam, it's minus 20 feet
Yeah.
on the apron.
Okay.
And then if you see plus, you think, hang on.
Yeah.
It's all right.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
And we're going to get a clearance and all that kind of stuff. Do we then start working across? Do we wait for the clearance for this, or do we do it now?
We do it now, yeah. So
Yeah.
we start working across. So the one thing that we want for this next panel to the right is called the EFIS control panel.
Okay.
That's its official name.
All right.
So we're going to set constraints on there,
All right. So constraint,
and then we can put it in ARC and 10.
arc and 10.
Yeah.
And shall I, because we tune the...
ADF.
we
Yeah,
did
we
tune
did.
the
We did,
ADF.
yeah.
So we tuned the Nancy.
The Nancy.
Frasier
Yeah.
joke there. And the VOR. So we'll do that on this side, and then I'll do it on your side when we get to it.
Yeah.
It's got managed speed.
We can leave that alone.
Yeah, it's got managed nav.
Leave it alone.
Yeah, and then we need to put an altitude in.
Yeah.
Do we wait till we get the clearance, or how does it work?
Normally you put the expected stop altitude in. So
Okay.
on the chart, it says that our stop altitude today is flight level 130.
Okay, so we can throw that in there now.
Yeah. But obviously, if the clearance is any different, we would amend that.
Okay,
Yeah.
I got you. So again, your side, Arc 10.
Yeah.
I'll give you Nancy, and I'll give you the VOR, and I'll give you constraint, and that's pretty much done. Terrain, I'm thinking a lot of terrain around here, or is that something we can do later on?
I would say put the train on now.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay. So terrain, what, on both sides, and then some weather later?
I would say one of you have terrain, one of you have weather, because
Right.
generally the pilot. It's nice for the pilot flying to have the terrain,
Yeah.
because then they can see if there's going to be any impending sort of issues in terms of terrain. And on the right side, they can have a look at the weather, so the other person can have a look.
Do
at
you
the
need a
weather.
bit of common sense over this? Because, I mean, let's say we were taking off somewhere where we knew there wasn't terrain, but there was a huge thunderstorm.
Yeah.
Then we'd both be more interested in the weather.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And same thing with, like, later on, we might leave Geneva and it's beautiful, not a cloud in the sky, but we'll both go on terrain.
Yeah, because, as you will see.
Yeah, but tonight, we're going to be taking off and it's going to be a bit dark.
Yeah.
So it's always good to have a weather radar on then.
Yeah.
Because you might not see it.
Of course.
Yeah.
All right, cool. So that's done. So we've done all the setup along the top. Passengers are on board. I can hear them all banging around now.
Yeah,
We've got the seatbelt sign on. Should we stick the APU bleed on, keep them cool?
Put the bleed on, yeah.
Yeah. All right, let's do that. And then the external power, can I deselect that now, or what will they do? Bang on the fuselage when they want us to take it?
Yeah, they normally bang on the side of the fuselage,
Okay.
but you could get rid of it now. It's a good idea. There he is.
All right, okay. So we don't want them just to pull that out. That's bad, right?
No, because if they imagine having a plug that's powering your entire house,
Yeah.
and then you try to half pull it out the wall, it's
Yeah.
going to electrocute you.
Of
So
course.
they don't want to do that. So that's why we disconnect it before they. So we disconnect it before they pull it out.
Right, okay. So let's do that. And then what we can do is, do we talk to them, or do you kind of wave at them, or...
It's normally hand signals.
There's normally a hand signal.
It's normally a hand signal. It's like a T where the top comes off the T. And that's
Right.
what we do.
Okay, no problem. So what I'll do is I'll disconnect the GPU, and at what point would they start taking the chocks out?
I think generally just before we're about to push back. So when the tug is there and everything's there, they take the chocks away. But they could do it earlier on. They could do it at any point they sort of feel we're
Right.
getting near the end. And we're only, 4 or 5 minutes, if that, away from pushback. So
Yeah.
they could well do it now.
Okay. All right. So that's all good. Right. And then in terms of what we leave on the pages,
Yeah,
still got the progress page on my side. Do I want performance? Is that the best page for me?
that's correct.
All right. And then over on you,
Flight plan.
Flight plan.
That's it.
So you, if we get amendments to the flight plan, you can change stuff.
That's correct. Yeah.
All
So
right.
you can see the speeds. I can change stuff if you need to, and that's
Yeah.
it.
All right. Okay. So we've got a few minutes to go. What will we expect to see happening now in terms of people coming in and out the flight deck and stuff like that? What's going on now?
So the dispatcher will be the person who's coming in and out of the flight deck. And just to describe who the dispatcher is, they're the person in Europe. They're responsible for like the load sheet and different things like this. In the US, they do some of the flight planning as well, but they're also coming to the aircraft, and they'll be giving you the final figures and all this sort of stuff. And the captain's doing quite a bit of paperwork at this point. That's why you might hear it on the PA. We say, "Yeah, we're nearly finished up here. We're just doing the final bits of paperwork." He's not lying.
Yeah,
they are
okay.
doing some
But
paperwork.
he is actually
yeah,
doing
he has
paperwork.
actually doing
He's
some
not,
paperwork.
He's not doing the crossword.
No. Yeah.
Right. Okay, that's fine. Cool. So we've got 3 minutes to go, but actually we're not taking off till about, what would you say, 4:20 Zulu.
Yeah.
But it's about a 10-minute or so taxi. So are we?
I think we're all right.
We're pretty much on time.
We're on time, and we can spend a few minutes, maybe 2 or 3 minutes, talking about when we do this MCDU setup.
Yeah.
The one thing that we're going to start doing more and more, but we're trying to just show you the basic principles of setting it up. One of the things that's nice to do is check what you have in the box against the chart.
Yeah.
So
okay.
today we had a look through, and we're pretty happy with what we had. But one of the things that you should do is sort of have a look at the departure. We can put it into plan mode, go onto the chart, and sort of go, yeah, that makes sense.
Just make sure.
Yeah,
Especially somewhere like here. I
Yeah,
guess.
exactly. And then we can have a look, and sort of see if it matches up against the chart. And this is where having that constraints selected on the EFIS control panel means that we can see, do the constraints match up with the actual departure? Because
Yeah.
I know that, for example, we do have that first constraint of 210 knots.
Yeah. So it's kind of important that we get that right.
Yeah, we've got enough time now as well, definitely.
Right.
So
Okay.
I know that on the chart, the first is 210 knots. Now, this is something interesting to talk about. We're not going to do a full, proper briefing today because we did it in the crew room, and that's for later on because we're time constrained here. But talking about flaps and configuration, that 210 knots, we're not going to be able to fly around that corner with flap 0.
Okay.
Because we're a bit heavy.
Okay.
So what we're going to do is we're going to leave flaps 1 plus F, and it's going to go to 210 knots, and that's going to be fine.
Okay.
So that's just the one thing. When you look at it, you go, oh yeah, that's what we're going to do.
So one thing just to bear in mind, don't roll the flaps up because the airplane will have to speed itself up.
Yeah, and what it will do is it will speed up to 210 knots,
Yeah.
which is fine. And if you just click on the performance page for me, thanks.
Yeah.
So you can see that see the little O?
Yeah.
That's green dot is 215.
So that's the minimum speed we can fly without the flaps.
So this is the speed that we can fly, as you say, without the flaps. So if we've got a constraint of 210,
Then we're going to bust it by
we're
5
going to bust
knots.
it, so we can't do it.
So would we get in trouble for that? Would they notice?
They may, but also I think the biggest danger is forgetting, and the aircraft won't automatically speed up. That
Okay.
green dot, it will just fly slow, which isn't very good.
Yeah.
So we've had a look at that departure, and it all makes sense. So that's just one thing that's worth doing.
So, right, the doors are closed. Does that mean the dispatcher's gone?
They've gone, he or
Right.
she, and they've gone, and they've pulled the steps away, and they should be removing them shortly.
Right, okay.
Yeah.
Michelle has gone.
Michelle has gone.
Michelle.
Good.
Oh, Michelle.
Yeah. So we're all done now,
Yeah.
and we've just got one more thing to do. We could do the before start checklist.
Yeah, okay, yeah, let's do it.
So before start checklist, cockpit prep.
Okay, so I know we shouldn't interrupt the checklist.
No, this is training.
But, but that's just making sure we've done the performance, we've put the departure in,
yeah,
we've got the weights, we've got the fuel,
yeah,
all that.
and we can have a look on the overhead panel, so we can
Because
double check
last time we left the external power on.
So that's gone.
Yeah.
Everything's gone. So that's good. So we are completed.
Yeah. Okay. So completed. Yeah.
Signs
Are on.
on an auto. That's the one thing.
Yeah. On an auto.
That's
Sorry.
it.
I'm going to nail this by the end.
You
of
will.
today.
You will. And then ADIRS.
Are in nav, and don't tell me.
You're going to get it. You're going to get
If
it.
we go to data,
Nearly. Yeah.
position monitor,
That's it.
It says nav.
Exactly.
Yes.
Rumours, facts.
Rumours, facts. Thank you.
So next one is fuel quantity.
All right. Now,
Oh, you're going to remember?
5620 there, but we want to back that up with 5620 there and 690 2110 2130 because I guess we've used a bit with the APU.
Yep, exactly.
690, so that is balanced. So 5620 balanced.
That's exactly the call. It's the figure and then balanced, if it is balanced, obviously.
All right.
Next one is FMGS.
So that's just checking we've got the takeoff and the departure in. So I would say set.
Exactly. Altimeters.
And we said 1014 once, twice, 3 times, and they're all saying 20 feet.
Yeah, down to the line.
Okay, cool. All right, so now we get our clearance.
Yeah.
Eurojet 44 uniform, clear to Geneva. Yamaha 6 Alpha departure, runway 04 right, squawk 2533, startup approved.
Okay, so we got the clearance.
Yep, we got the clearance.
Now we need to push back then.
So it's push back with the tail to the right.
So he asked us if the parking brake was set. We just looked
It
down.
is. So now we can
and check
do
it's
the
set.
below the line items if you
Okay, beacon on.
That's correct.
And the windows.
Suck is in position and bypass pin is inserted. Apron is now clear, ready for push. Release parking brakes.
Okay, so he's happy.
Yep,
Let's do the
so-
checklist and then we'll go.
Okay, below the line. So we've got windows and doors.
Are closed and closed.
The beacon.
Beacon is on,
The mobile phone.
is off,
Off. Parking brake.
is on.
That's the before start checklist completed.
Okay, so he wants us to go.
Release parking brakes. Clear behind, commencing push.
He's quite impatient, this guy, isn't he?
clear,
He is.
Clear to start engines at own discretion.
We've got 2 things to do now. So we run the clock.
Yeah, so that is recording the whole flight, yeah? From
Yeah,
pushback.
that's it. Yeah, just start. You start the clock and put the transponder to on.
Gotcha. Okay, so auto
Auto, yeah, that's correct.
and then leave it.
And leave it.
Okay. All right, so start the engines. Do you want to delay that a little bit if it looks like a long push? Or
Yeah.
do we just want to get them going now?
Yeah, definitely. If it's a bit of a long push, you can sort of delay it a bit because you want to just save that bit of fuel.
Yeah, okay. How long is this push? It doesn't look very long.
Don't think it's pretty. It's not that long, no.
Yeah, so should we get going now?
I think it's a good idea.
Okay, all right. So, turn this to ignition. We're waiting for these, the engine PSI, right?
Yep, that's correct. So we've got the PSI behind there now.
And that's it.
That's it.
Throw it in.
Yeah.
So simple, isn't it, in
It
this
is.
aeroplane? Now, I remember, did we have Igniter A back in
I
Menorca?
think we
I
did.
seem to remember.
So it's what we're going to have today.
We'll wait and see.
We'll see.
The lottery
Yeah.
of the engine igniter. It's B.
B.
There
Oh,
you
there we
go.
go.
This
So-
could be like a little pilot bet, really.
It
you
could
know,
be.
like who buys
A
the
or B.
beers.
It's
Yeah.
true.
Pick one.
So
Yeah.
what we can see the engine now as well is it's gone above the 22% N2. So we've got the little grey box, which means the FADEC is successfully starting the engine. We've got fuel flow, so that's good. And you can see that the N1, so the big disc on the front, is starting to spin a bit quicker. And we've got the exhaust gas temperature is rising, which is correct because now the fuel's being burnt. We heard the click, and that's the generator line contactors opening up. And it's almost had a successful start. There it is.
And now it says avail.
Yeah,
So what we can do now is start the other one.
exactly.
All right. So he said set the parking brake. I'm guessing it's very important not to do that until he tells us to do it.
Yeah,
All right. Okay. There we go. And then now I can start the other one.
exactly.
Okay.
So yeah, again, you can see the engine starting up there. The N1 starting to spin a little bit. The fuel's just about to go in. There it goes at 22%. Fuel flow's increasing. Engine's starting up. Looks like it's going to be a good start.
Gotcha. Okay, we're getting the. There you go. Getting a little French PA in the
Makes sense.
in the
Nice, isn't it?
background.
Yeah.
Yeah. Do you listen to this or do you turn it down?
I turn it off,
You
actually.
turn it off. Do you
Yeah.
find it a bit distracting?
I find it a little bit distracting, yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
And unlock gear.
Okay.
So it looks like we've had two successful starts there.
Right.
So
Okay.
did you remember the we got the 2, 4, 6, 3? So when we look down the engines,
Right. So two. So the other one stabilised on the right. So let's look at that.
Yeah.
2, 4, 6, 3.
Yep.
So we're near that.
and the other one's getting that way, so that's fine.
When he drives away, it looks like we're rolling back.
Yeah,
That's quite scary.
it's kind of scary, isn't
I
it?
was like, we're rolling.
Yeah.
No, we're not.
No,
the
no,
park
we're not.
brakes
We're
on.
okay.
Right.
So now we can do the flow that we've got to do after the engines have started.
Right,
So we
okay.
start with the engine mode selector,
Engine mode selector.
back to normal,
Yep.
and then back up to the top. So
And
over
we
the overhead
bless the
panel.
aircraft.
That's the
And
one.
clear right. Disconnecting
Right.
now. Have a good flight. Bye-bye.
Okay, so he's off.
That's
so
good.
you're going to give him a wave. Andre's going to give him a wave, but let's concentrate on this. So APU bleed
That's it.
off, and then anti-ice, which we don't need today because it's a nice day.
Exactly.
And then APU master switch.
That's the one.
That's it. And then back down,
Back down.
and then we've got to sort all this stuff out.
So we can put the trim in.
trim. Ah, yeah. I was going to do
Yeah, that's right.
the weather radar. It's just about remembering which order it all
There's
goes
a lot
in.
of flows and a lot of different orders.
So it was 33, wasn't it?
It was, yeah, that's correct.
Yeah, okay, so 33 is the other way. So it's that little orange, the little white
The
triangle.
little white triangle, that's the one.
Yeah, and dirty, about there.
Yeah, that's the one.
Yeah,
Yeah.
okay, great.
Then
Okay.
you arm the spoilers,
Yeah,
reset the rudder trim,
yeah.
set the flaps.
And flap 1, happy with that?
Yeah, that's right.
Check.
And then click back up at the status page.
Okay. And then status.
Nothing
No,
on there.
Nothing's on there.
All good.
Wow, okay, we haven't broken it for once.
No,
which
not
is
for
good.
once.
Okay, that's good. Right, so is that the after start flow done?
Yeah,
kinda?
so now if we can see the pushback guy, I think he's going to be walking off one side.
Yeah.
So I can see he's over there
he's
already,
gone.
so he's gone, so that's
He's gone.
good.
They don't
So-
hang about, do they?
No, we would have definitely got a little thumbs up, which Andre, I'm sure, gave back to him.
Yeah,
So
okay.
now what we could do is we could do the after start checklist.
All right, let's do it.
Okay, so the after start checklist: anti-ice,
Is not required.
the ECAM status,
It's checked.
the pitch trim.
We set 33%.
That's it. Yeah, 33% set. That's
Okay.
what they say, but it's,
Alright.
it's only a small thing.
Quite picky Eurojet.
Very. Rudder trim
That we reset to 0.
and the after start checklist completed.
Okay, cool. All right. So, I'm guessing there's other stuff we could do on the move. Do you think it's a good idea to do it now?
I think we're going to do it now.
Let's
yeah.
do it before we start
Yeah,
moving.
exactly.
Right. Okay. So, control check, I believe.
That's the one.
All right. So, full aft,
Yep.
and then release it. Full forward.
Yep.
Release. Full left.
Correct.
It's not going to go into the box, as we
Correct.
talked about. Release. And then full right. And then release it. And now hold down the pedal disconnect. Well, still looking at the rudder. And
That's
then
right.
Full I did full right and then full left, so it doesn't really matter.
No, it doesn't matter as long as you just do the rudder check.
And then let go of the pedal, and there you go. So that's control check complete.
Perfect. And then what we can do is we can do our flow.
Yeah.
So we're going to start with the auto brakes, and we're going to put those to max.
Yeah.
Then we're going to move down to the weather radar. We're going to make sure that it's on system 1.
Yeah, because there is no system 2.
And then we're going to put that to auto.
Yeah.
And then we move across to the right. So we make sure that the engine mode select is normal. And then we make sure that the transponder's on, which it is. And then we move up to the test.
There's a lot of like backwards and forwards and backwards and forwards.
A lot of flows, isn't there?
Yeah,
it's a lot.
There really is a lot to remember. Right, okay, so that's everything done, and now we can start moving.
What we can start moving, but if you want, we can actually do the before takeoff checklist to the line just before we get that done.
Let's get it done.
So the before takeoff checklist, flight controls
checked.
Briefing
is confirmed.
Flap setting
is 1.
Nearly,
wait,
that's it. I'm not going to say.
Wait, it's config 1.
Perfect.
Got you.
And then we have the FMA and takeoff data.
Is hang on.
Oh, here we go. This is a bit tricky, isn't it?
Yeah, hang on. 142 blue, 146 magenta, climb nav blue, 1 FE2, 13,000 blue.
Yes.
And flex 54.
Perfect.
Is that it?
That's it.
Oh my god,
yes,
I got it.
You did it.
I can't believe I remembered
it. So then transponder.
Transponder is set.
ECAM memo
is what's the response to
takeoff no blue
is
if there is no blue,
takeoff no blue and there is no blue
and the EFB is not using, so down to the line.
All right, cool. Can you get the taxi clearance then?
Yeah, I can.
Let's get out of here.
So Eurojet 044 uniform, request taxi.
Eurojet 44 uniform, taxi to holding point runway 04 right via uniform and whiskey, and via whiskey clear to cross 04 left.
We need quite a lot of power. She's quite heavy.
She's quite heavy, yeah.
Yeah.
Did you? I didn't see. Did you put the taxi light on?
I did.
Oh, good man.
Yeah, I did while you weren't looking.
Good.
But don't worry, Andre's watching.
Oh, good.
His eyes are everywhere.
Yeah.
According to the cabin crew, so are his hands. But I didn't. I didn't say that.
It's just a rumor.
Yeah, and not a fact.
No.
Nous réduisons l'intensité lumineuse de la cabine. Nous vous invitons à utiliser vos liseuses. Ladies and gentlemen, during takeoff and landing by night, we dim the cabin lights. Would you please use the individual reading lights?
Right, so what we're going to do for the taxi, we're going to go straight ahead. It's a slightly left turn and then to the right, along the old disused runway.
Okay, so we just want a little look over our left shoulder now. We want to make sure no one's trying to taxi into us, right?
Good call, yeah.
Yeah, okay. So, round the corner, as you said, no more than about 10 knots, yeah?
Yeah, we're good here. You're looking like a really good speed. You come to idle already. So it's a little bit to the left, and then we're going to come to the right.
Okay.
We can do that after the turn, yeah.
We need to prioritise what we're doing, right?
And the funny thing is that they understand that, the cabin crew. Like, I've done it before, where in the middle of an engine start, they call you, and you go, I'm just going to wait.
Yeah.
And you wait 2 minutes, and they're still there.
Really? So that he's just hanging on the phone now.
He's there like, oh, come on, guys. But
yeah, he's got things to do.
Yeah, he's got things to do.
Right, okay. Well, steering the aeroplane is more important than answering the phone. So let me just...
Perfect.
I'm going to do that, and then go down there.
Hello, it's Norman. Let's cabin secure for takeoff.
Perfect.
Thank you, Norman.
So we're going to continue all the way along uniform, all the way down to the end of the sea. We're going to go left, then we're going to cross the runway, and then we're going to come to the right to go for 04 right.
Okay. So I feel I'm taxiing quite slowly, but that's not a bad thing.
It's not a bad thing, and remember, we wanted to take off at 20 past, so I don't think we're in the ballpark for that.
Yeah. So we're on time.
Yeah, I think so.
So looking just straight ahead of us, while we've just got a second, this is the bit you can't fly over. This is the reason that we do this circling approach back into Nice.
That's correct.
Because they don't like you flying over this built-up area. This is where, Tina Turner lives and rock stars and billionaires. Yeah. And they don't like aeroplanes flying over them.
And what's nice is later on today, this is that bay we're going to be turning inside of.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
So it's going to be, 6-7 hours before we see this again?
It's going to be, yeah.
Yeah. It's a long day.
It's going to be a different skyline.
Yeah,
sort of. Yeah.
Absolutely, yeah.
So we've been cleared to cross the active runway now. So once we're straight, there's no rush. You have a little look, and I can see, if you agree, the approach is clear. Didn't see anyone on the approach.
There's no one on the approach,
Didn't see him. and then we just got to put the strobe light to on when we cross an active runway.
Okay, so just before we get there, yeah?
Yeah, just before we get there.
All right,
They
so
did it. That's exactly right.
That's on.
Yeah.
And then what do we do? When we get to the other side, we can turn it off again.
Yeah, just put it back to auto after we cross. So it's not
Okay.
this first to the right, second one.
Second right, okay. All right. So
It's whiskey, not Victor.
whiskey. Now we're past it. So
That's it.
knock it back to auto. Gotcha. All right, we've got two takeoff, well, two entry points here.
Yeah.
Do we take the nearest one, or because he didn't tell us, he just told us to line up?
I would go all the way. It's
Really?
as far just to use all the runway.
So is this one of those things of why waste?
Why waste runway?
20
Yeah,
meters.
exactly.
Yeah, okay.
Just because we're just about to take off, I think it's worthwhile just mentioning what we're going to do for the takeoff. If
Yeah,
you're happy
sure.
with that.
Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, look, there's no one behind us.
Yeah,
There's no
so
one
we've got
approach.
time.
We've got a few minutes. Yeah.
Yeah, so we're all good.
Okay.
So what we're going to do, after when we enter the runway, we're going to do the little below the line flow, but we can do that after we're stopped. You know, there's no rush. It's okay. So we'll say take off, start the chrono, set 50%. Then once the engines are stabilized, we'll push half stick forward, and then we'll push it all the way up to the flex gate, and we'll read the FMAs. Once we've read the FMAs, we'll be releasing the side stick pressure after 80 knots to be neutral by 100,
Okay.
and then V1 rotate. It's as simple as that.
And that's it.
It's as
You
simple as
make
that.
it sound so simple.